There we go. I'd like to call the meeting of the Safety Committee to order at 3:04 p.m. Right now in attendance, we have Edward Wang, Colleen Mitchell, Debbie DeVolio, one of our new members, Judy White, and I believe Lori Robinson will be joining us, and hopefully our other new member, Hildy. Sorry, what was her last name, Judy?
That's a good question.
Anyway, well, hopefully she will be joining us, and we will remember her last name. So because we have a couple people that still haven't logged on, okay, first of all, I want to see, I'm not good at this because I don't do it very much. I just want to mention that there's a land acknowledgement and anti-racism statement that is posted on the website if anyone wants to see it. And I did roll call already. So I'd like to move the agenda or amend the agenda to take item 4B, and Ted Wang had some things that he wanted to bring up, and move that up to we can make it item 3A. Everybody okay with that?
I'm good.
Okay, so we will do that. And then Morgan, do we have any community members? I'm assuming not.
Amy, I don't know if you saw the Sudden Valley office said that she was having problems with her mic and it's now rectified. So
oh, okay. Okay, no, okay, I did see that. I'm not looking at the right, I'm looking at my phone because I'm stumbling through this because I thought Lori was going to be running this meeting. So I did not prepare at all to be running it. So you're going to have to put up with me. The one thing that I wanted to let you know, Judy, because I was in the office today and Morgan was talking to me, but since she can't, it's going to get her to tell you because she took care of this. But that pamphlet, that Firewise pamphlet that you had, she's got copies of it and she's ordered a number of them that will be made available at the Welcome Center for everyone. So I thought that was great that she went ahead and got that done. And she said that she would also post it to the safety committee portion on the website, so people can see it online as well.
The handout?
Yes.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yes. So thank you, Morgan. We really appreciate you doing that.
Can you hear me now?
Yay!
Okay.
See now, and I just stole your thunder.
Thank you. No, that's okay.
Oh, anyway, so Ted, do you want to go ahead and tell us some of the things that you want to be working on? Oh, you're muted.
Who are you talking to?
To Ted.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't, Morgan, can you unmute him? We had this problem last time as well. It looks like, okay, now I see that it says muted on the screen. You want to try again? No?
He's not muted as far as I can see.
Okay, but we can't hear him.
You might be having some technical difficulties, Ted.
Maybe the sound on your computer needs to be turned up. I know we got it solved last time.
The mute sound just went off as you were talking. Can you hear us now, Ted?
He should be able to hear us. We just can't hear him.
Ah.
Do you have a headset maybe that could override the computer audio?
All right. We also confirmed that we have a safety committee booth at the Valley Fair, so that will be good. We need to kind of figure out what we want to have as handouts. And Colleen, I'm just wondering if that'd be a good time for you to for us to start getting some signups for parents to be on bus patrol.
Yeah, when I get a chance to talk, I've talked to Target Zero again. But yes, I mean, I think we need to come up with a comprehensive, like, what does the program look like?
Mhm.
And then what does that role look like? And then once we know what that is, then we can start asking people to join it.
Yeah, that
Um,
sounds, let me just, Ted, is your microphone working yet? Can we hear you
Let's
yet?
find out.
Yay!
Excellent.
I can
Yep,
hear
there
you.
you go.
I guess I'll have to look like Mickey Mouse. There was
Well,
one comment I wanted to make to Judy on her Firewise materials. It still says on that brochure about 1/4 inch mesh instead of 1/8 inch.
On the small one,
It's on the flyer.
the trifold.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
because I
Yeah.
know you made a comment about that in the other part of what you sent out, but in the brochure it still says 1/4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
don't know if there's a way to scratch that out and just pencil something in for when it's screened in.
Okay. We'll look into that. Thank you for pointing that out.
Okay, well, there were just a couple of things that I had. I guess for those of you who don't really know me, I teach sea kayaking. I have my own company, and I do almost all of my teaching out of the marina down on the lake. So between that and having my dogs down at the dog park down there, I spend quite a bit of time watching people go out on the lake. And for years, it's really worried me because I see way too many people who are A, dressed inappropriately, and B, don't have life jackets with them. And the law states very clearly you must have a life jacket with you. It doesn't require you to wear it unless you're below a certain age. But it's really silly not to go out there with that. And I was going to follow up, and I got busy this week and didn't have a chance to, but I talked to the sheriff's department probably 2 or 3 years ago, and I just asked them what their policy would be when they have their boat out. And they said that if they see people out there that are, don't have the life jackets with them, I can't remember what they'll do, but I think write them a citation. And I've explained this on a couple of occasions to some people, and you get the typical middle finger salute sort of thing. But it really concerns me because I know of at least a couple of occasions where boaters have come across people that have been out in the middle of the lake somewhere because typically I think they were in kayaks, they capsized, couldn't get back in the boat, and they were really, really cold. And the water in the lake is cold year round, with the exception of some of the shallows. And we do have a sign. There's a sign there, and I believe there's a sign over by AM/PM Beach that talks about needing to do it. But I don't think there's been much emphasis on how people should behave when they're down there at the lake. So one thing that I did, and I don't know if everybody got a copy of it, but I wrote an article that, with your approval, and I guess this would be an opportunity for any last minute edits to it to send into the views, hopefully that they'll publish, since we've got the first of the month coming up. So we're kind of looking at deadline, I think.
yeah,
So
it's getting close.
Judy was nice enough to take an early look at it and made one suggestion, which I incorporated. It was just I made a quote that the Coast Guard says about wearing a life jacket or life jackets. If you're not wearing it, you may as well not have it at all. And she suggests I go ahead and attribute that directly to the Coast Guard, which I did. Other than that, she didn't have any additional edits. So did anybody have any comments or suggestions for any changes in that document?
I never did end up getting that, but I'm really excited that you want to put that in the views. I think we're really trying to get content in there that's really, helpful to our members, not just, I mean, we've had things from Linden, we've had not enough things to put in. I really want it to be member centered and positive. So I think that's great. And you can just go ahead and send it right to the views unless you want, me or someone else to submit it for you.
No, I can do that. That's,
Yeah. Do you have any kind of some sort of a picture or something to put with it that you could, catch people's attention?
Colleen, I think, said that she had some pictures, but I haven't seen them yet.
No, I didn't know I didn't want to like, you know, push them on you if you already had something, but I do think images will always catch attention, and that's a great article in terms of content. So I'm happy to send some images to you like later today, and you can like to everybody, and we can just pick a couple, and then you can attach that to your article when you send it off. So,
Okay.
and I think you're sending it to Bill, right? Are we still sending
Yeah.
to Bill?
Yeah, Bill Helm.
Okay.
I have do you have his email? I mean, it's it's in the paper.
Yeah, it's on the masthead of the paper.
Yeah.
I'll just
Yeah.
pull it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the other thing that I didn't include in the article, I think 2 years ago, I sent an email to Joanne about something that I would like to see put in down there. And the DNR has, around the launch sites out on the bay and places like that, they have a life jacket loaner rack where people that show up, it's got a sign on it says, if you don't have a life jacket, you need to have it. Here's one you can borrow. Just please return it. And that's the only suggestion I had for something that I think, would cost a little bit of money, would be to build a rack, install it down there. I have, I think, 2 or 3 life jackets that I would be happy to donate to the cause. But I also know that there's some grant money available where you can get that sort of thing. But I'm willing to bet that there are enough people here in the Valley that probably have a life jacket lying around that would be perfectly usable if we just put the word out.
Yeah.
Maybe-
Sorry.
I was just gonna suggest we make sure any donations would be Coast Guard certified, or we just make some kind of standard.
Oh,
that
yeah.
has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They all have life jackets, all have a sticker,
Hastings?
or it's printed on the inside that said it's Coast Guard approved. And basically the 2 types that are most common are type 3 and type 2. You'll see some type 4s occasionally, but those are actually mostly for whitewater, and they incorporate rescue belts and that sort of thing. And they're perfectly usable for other purposes, but they tend to be really expensive, and I doubt if we would get a donation. I'd be willing to take a look at donated ones, and if the rule of thumb is that if the label is unreadable, it has to be trashed. That's kind of the system they use to evaluate whether the vest is still in usable condition or not. But I'd be willing to, do that if we had a rack built where we could put them.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And
So
they don't have to be professional grade life jackets, just the ones that I've seen down at, I think the place where I've seen them most frequently is down at Wildcat Cove and down in Larrabee. And they're just basic, I won't say, well, yeah, basically like Kmart style life jackets. They're adequate.
Mhm.
They're certainly better than nothing.
Sure.
Ted, are you willing to look at the concept of the grants that you had mentioned?
Yeah, I'll take a look at.
And then storage, like what are we talking about? Are we talking about like those waterproof chests, right? That we could have at a location, or like what does that look like?
Actually, the ones that I've seen that DNR use, it's just a wooden framework. Probably use 4x4s, and then it's got a couple of rods, like curtain rods running across. And some of them have just like a little just a little type roof, just wide enough to cover the where the jackets are hanging, but they're hanging out in the open air, which is actually what you would want, because if you put them in a waterproof box, they'll get moldy.
Yeah.
So I am going to bet that we have enough wonderful community members who would volunteer, and they can fill out that volunteer form, to build those. So I think if you have a picture of something of what DNR is using, if you could get like a picture and like dimensions roughly, I think if we put it out to the community, we could probably, I feel confident, there's enough really generous, skilled people who would be willing to donate those for the locations that we designate. And I'm happy to help solicit that. So if you have a design that you can get a picture of or an image and dimensions, and we get approval to place those,
Yeah, that's important.
yeah, get approval to put those, like, I mean, we have blessing boxes and we have other things that are run by residents. It doesn't necessarily have to be Sudden Valley run if that's like some kind of liability, that Sudden Valley be held accountable for the quality and whatever of the life jackets. If we can get some kind of sign off that like maybe that's a community run thing, not necessarily Sudden Valley, if that becomes an obstacle to getting it done.
I'm curious whether it would be beneficial to have one at Sofield as well. If
Probably.
AM, PM are where the largest racks are, but there's a good number of people that go in and out of Sofield, and even sometimes avoiding the marina. People are apt to put in at Sofield where parking might be more readily available.
That's great.
Okay, I was thinking mostly just at the marina, but those are good ideas for alternative locations. It would mean, coming up with additional jackets and that sort of
Sure.
thing.
I would be happy to help too.
Yeah, maybe we could at least get a start. I think the liability question is a good one, and that's probably one for the association attorney.
So,
Taimi, can you help us communicate that?
I can talk to Joanne about it. That's she would know. I'm not sure that we have to go as far as the attorney. I think between the board and Joanne, I think we can probably get it figured out whether it's something we can do or not.
Could we put a timeline on that, just because we're coming into like the season here through September? Can we kind of put a rush on it?
Well, we can try, but I mean, there's a lot going on right now in in the association. We do have the Valley Fair coming up. We have, of course, there's a GM search, so Joanne is helping with that, and there's also budget seasons coming up before you know it. We're already looking at meetings in July that will be strictly budget. So I'm not sure that we can rush it, but we can.
Well, we're not asking anything other than a conceptual for the community to do something. We're not asking for action, materials. We just need permission.
Well, I can go down to, I can make a run down to Wildcat, because I know that there's one there, and take a picture and do some measurements. And I can probably talk to somebody at DNR. I think I've got a couple of contacts for people that are still there. A few years ago, I served on a committee that DNR put together that was evaluating on-water fatalities. And I've got still to have some contacts for people that were on that committee. It was a statewide deal, because the people over on the east side have real issues with whitewater rafters this time of year. So I'll do a little digging and see if I can come up with, there might be a set of plans out there already, but we'll figure out something. I can work on that.
Yeah, and I will reach out to Joanne and see how fast that she thinks. I mean, again, we're just here to, I don't want to make promises that for other people that I can't keep. So, but definitely reaching out.
And if because we are coming into budget season. So if we're saying, hey, we're making this suggestion to the association that would not cost them anything, but like if there's going to be items that this committee may come up with that need to become line items on budgets. And this is not seemingly one of them, but like, I
Yeah.
just think we need to ascertain, like, can we get things accomplished? Is this committee going to be effective? Sorry, I have
Effective
a
and
child
timely.
playing video games while I, yeah, I just, while we have, I just found with other committees, the inertia and the energy that the expenditure of the committee members was tremendous, and then it didn't really go anywhere. So my hope for is this committee that like we can make these suggestions, they'll be heard, and we're doing our best not to ask money, resources, etc. of the association, but in this case, just permission.
I agree. I
and-
just, like I said, I don't want to say that they're not going to do it. I just don't want to,
Yeah.
commit for other people, but we'll definitely bring it forward. I think it's a great idea. And, a couple years ago, there was some kids in the marina that overturned their kayak. And it was amazing how fast that little thing was starting to go down. And my daughter and I were helping them. And it was a lot of work to pull it up because it got heavy with that water real fast. We managed to save it. But, if they had been out in the middle of the lake, there wouldn't have been someone to grab it and get it out of the water for them. So, and if they didn't have life jackets, that could have been a disaster and likely would have been.
Yeah.
So,
Ted, do you agree that those 4 locations so Debbie had mentioned Sofield, and then AM, PM, is that and Marina, or is everyone saying that if so, in an ideal situation, start with the Marina, see what we can get done.
yeah,
But ideally, there's
We
those
have
4
the
locations.
largest volume at Marina.
Yeah.
it's a great place to start.
The one group that violates the life jacket issue the most are the stand-up paddleboarders. And those folks are required to have a life jacket or what we call a PFD, personal flotation device. A lot of those folks like to use the inflatable ones, which is, they'll keep you above water, but they won't protect you from cold. But the law says that that's legal, so there's not much we can do about that, I don't think. But they are, and that's where I've seen some of the biggest amount of resistance, and probably the most violations of not having it are the SUP folks.
I think your article is going to raise awareness. I'm betting half of those people don't even know that that's a requirement, right? And I think that's a huge charge for this committee, is really like awareness, right? Education, awareness. And so your article is going to be awesome and to get in the views.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, I think that's what I've got.
All right, so did we have, moving on, did we have what do we have for old business?
I would like to offer a couple of quick things about flyers and the booth and this and that, if I could just.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, a couple of things. One is that I did talk to Robert from Whatcom CD, and he's going to drop off some material that I haven't seen yet tomorrow to me for
Nice.
they're not going to be there, but he would like to have, I don't know if it's going to be business card with their name. They would like us to just hand out that information so people can contact them for those home assessments through their own system, as opposed to us taking names and having them call the residents. So he'll be giving me more flyers as well, and something of their own. I didn't get to the booths on May 15th, so I don't know what all the tables, so I'm not all sure what it will look like, but he's going to drop it off to me and I'll make sure to get it to Morgan for the booth.
Oh, nice.
So that'll be good. And then one, I know that Morgan also has told me that she's maybe already told you that she would like to take 2 of those big posters that are really, really good, because there's info on both sides, and put them up hopefully in the glassed in bulletin board at the entrance to the Welcome Center.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Yeah, it'd be just a great opportunity right there. So so she has access. She's ordered more of those as well. And so I'm really delighted about that. And then one other quick thing about the booth, just to suggest someone to have would be our Mitch Knowles, our fire chief. If he could be there for like 1 hour, maybe 12 to 1, and we can promote the heck out of it and people could stop by and ask him questions. I can't think of a better person to have available for a question and answer. And he's so personable and he knows so much about, and he lives here. So if he could just commit to 1 hour, and of course, if there's a fire, all bets are off. But, if he could commit to that and we can promote, say he'll be there from 12 to 1, just during that one small amount of time, we can maybe get that, would be my suggestion.
Okay, now he's the fire chief for Whatcom County, like the head fire chief. Is that who he is?
He's the Sudden Valley person, and he lives
okay.
right in Gate 3. And he spoke at the May 15th event, and he loves to do outreach. And I think he'd be ideal for it, just for a brief time.
Nice.
I wouldn't want to suck up all of his Saturday in the summer. And he may be off fighting fires. Who knows what's going to happen then. But it's something I think we should offer. And so let me know if you would like me to do that.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Can you reach out to him? Thank you.
Yes, Mitch. Okay.
And just to clarify the other thing you were talking about, Judy, make sure when you said Robert from Whatcom CD, now that is where they come and look at your trees and evaluate them.
It's not just the trees, it's the entire property in terms of fire safety, firewise, bringing everything up to firewise standards. And I talked to him and he said, as of tomorrow, they will have been to 22 different homes in Sudden Valley.
Oh, that's great.
22. And there's one cul-de-sac that he's hoping that will work into being a designated, a designated firewise community, because it's up to about 20 different people can all come together and be designated. And that would just go brilliantly for their insurance and all kinds of stuff, not to mention their safety. So all such good news.
That is great news. Obviously people were listening to the Firewise presentation, and they must be looking at it afterwards as well, because to have that kind of response and that many people, having them come out, that's great.
It is great.
I thought it was excellent.
And there's one more thing I'd like to just bring up, is that I sent everybody out a copy of a draft of an article I'd like to contribute to the July 1 views as well. And it's based it's not based on basically Firewise issues, but I kind of put from the Seattle Times article that I posted on a few of the different Facebook pages. And the title of my article that I put is, "It's the Embers, Not the Flames, folks." And I want people to, because that's what the main theme of the video that Robert showed at the May 15th event was about, showing the effect of embers that can travel so far and so fast and do so much damage, as opposed to, we're not going to be getting walls of flames like they do in California, because we don't have that kind of forest. We don't have that kind of growth here. But what we will be getting is embers, and they can go a long way and do a lot of damage. So that's what my article's about. Did anybody get a chance to look it over and have any? I know Ted did.
I didn't get a chance to look at, I didn't see it either. That's what I was just looking at my phone for, because I'm like, I don't remember seeing that. And I go,
I sent it to the safety committee. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's,
I don't know if I just somehow, I don't know why I didn't get it, but if you could forward it just to my board email, that would be great.
Sure. I think I may have done it that way too. I'm not sure. But two of the issues that came out, one is at the end, I'm going to suggest they read the Seattle Times article, but instead of linking to it, of course, you can't link on a newspaper. So I'm just going to say, read the Seattle Times article titled this, posted on June 15th. And then the other thing I was going to change was I was going to recommend that people watch the 20-minute video that they showed at the May 15th workshop, which is now posted in our YouTube as part of that whole presentation. So I thought but instead of again trying to do a link, I would just let people know how to find that YouTube video and what minute to look for that video, if that's okay.
Yeah.
If somebody is savvy enough, they could insert a QR code for the link to
I
the
have
article.
no idea how to do that. That is so beyond my comprehension and how to use it if they were there.
Okay, Debbie, there you go. QR code.
And if you can do that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I can inquire about it. I just tested for COVID, so I've got a fairly limited in my mobility right now, and then we'll be out of town for the duration of the first 2 weeks of July. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I can fly.
Yeah.
But I certainly, if a phone call can accomplish that, I will certainly do it.
Okay. And I'll hold off sending this in. Now, would I be sending this to you, Tammy, to send to?
You can send it to Bill Helm.
Okay.
And again, if you have any kind of a graphic or a photo, I mean, I've noticed your Facebook posts too about the embers, and so I know you've been getting the word out that way. And I'm sure that if you can't find a good picture, Colleen will jump in and get you one. I have a lot of faith that you're doing that.
Between me and Colleen, we'll come up with something, I'm sure. And one other issue. One of the things I'm offering in here is a series of very informative fire prevention fact sheets from Firewise. I sent a copy to all of you with that email. Did any of you notice them and see? There's one called attics and crawl space vents. Another one is skylights. There's like a dozen of them. They're all written Firewise. They're fact sheets. They're like one-pagers, and they are so helpful. And I'd really like to see those and the safety committee page of our website. So I know that Morgan's already posted, as you said, the flyer. And I gave her also a PDF of the poster, which is like a enhanced, even better version of the flyer. Would it be okay to ask Morgan to include the other 10 or so information books? Because I'd love to be able to refer to them and know that they'll be available there. And there's like one is called Fire Spread on Ember Ignited Decks. This is the how-to. This is what exactly you need to know if you want to make your deck safer kind of information. And what do you need to know about the vents? And what do you need to know? The details, the nitty gritty, getting in the dirt of how to fix this stuff. And so, so much of what we talk about is general. It's like, make your deck more fire safe. Well, how do you do that? What does that mean? This kind of information talks about that. And it's not written by me. It's written by the Firewise experts that have studied that. So can I get this up on our website?
I was just going to say the emphasis on the 5-foot perimeter around your house and in the top of sheds and garages and things like that, making sure that they're swept off. And that really stuck out in the presentation too.
Yes, it did. It did.
Well, Morgan's here. Morgan, is that something that you could do, or is that a little bit too much? Or
it would be the
No, I absolutely could do that.
Awesome, Morgan. Thank you. I've got the
I'm just looking at the website to think about where. I think I'd like to put it on the committee page where so you go to safety committee, and then you could have a link, because we have safety committee agendas and minutes, and I can add a link to brochures and other material.
Okay, you can
that'd be great.
Information or informational fact sheets or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, awesome. I will send those to you. And that I would love if you could also add in the same place the PDF of the poster.
Right, I have that. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. So good. So I'll include that in my letter to the editor.
Okay.
And that way, that's just awesome. Thank you so much. And I'm good.
Good. Okay. I gotta look at this agenda again. I'm gonna really, really thank Lori for not showing up or I'm looking.
Can I ask, well, this is about Judy's while you're on the topic. Morgan, can we get a Firewise or the link to our page somewhere? Like, can we just have it permanently in announcements? Like somewhere on the landing page. So if you go to the landing page,
the landing page and the announcements is Joanne's world. She
there's
does
a
that.
whole, so below there's a whole nother blank, like we could call it something else.
Right.
Like
And what she would probably say to you, and like, I don't want to speak for her, but my guess would be she's going to tell you that we could do something like that on the new website, but there's not going to be a lot of construction on this website.
It's more like if we don't construct it, I guess I'm just asking, like, can the board suggest or otherwise to Joanne, or, you know, so it's not residents directing staff or whatever the gray area falls into, but like, this is a fairly simple, like a link in on the landing page, some kind of link into the safety committee page, or a link into the Firewise information.
Okay, so our current page, committee information, is on the landing page on the left-hand side. And so you go there, and you go to committee information, and then you go to all the committees, and you're able, and so that's click 1 to all the committees, click 2, safety committee. In that safety committee page, I can link to safety committee documents. But
is this on mobile?
To put it, sorry, what?
Is it on mobile? Because I don't see it.
No, if you look at our page on mobile, you will not see what I'm seeing. You don't see any of the left-hand buttons in mobile. You have to see it on desktop.
Okay.
Okay. On the desktop, on the mobile app, you only see the top 4 buttons: commonly requested forms, Sun Valley Golf, activities and events, and resident resources. But I can tell you that, Joe, we are not spending a lot of time. And what you're asking, if you want to be on that splash page, and in that event section, or in those 2 sections, that is the part that made us want to have a new website, because those programs that run that are broken. So we can't get in there anyway. But if we have it on the safety committee page, people will find it. And as far as having a Firewise button on the updated website, that is up to Joanne.
What's the time projection for the updated? Is that something that will be after the summer?
That's it's a moving target.
Okay.
We were hoping to have it up and running by now, but it just hasn't happened. There's just a lot of work to be done.
Sure.
And not everybody's just had the time to really put as much into it as they would like. So
have we got any bids for building that? Do we have a company? I mean, this is 2 years ago, communications committee, we were talking about building the new website. Like, that's
we
the
do
hub.
have a skeleton site built by a company that we, and so now it's moving our content onto that structure. And so much of our content is outdated that it really needs every single piece of it needs to be reviewed. And that's, you know,
it's just a huge job.
Slow going.
Sure.
All right, but you know, I mean, it's something to keep in mind. At least if we have those buttons, if you can do that, Morgan, that's a great start. I mean, you know, this is really just our second meeting, and we've already getting things accomplished and on the website. We're gonna have hopefully two articles in the views. So, I mean, you know, little by little, we're, you know, baby steps, we're gonna make a difference.
Did we get permission to, or did we ask for permission to have a small space on each e-blast? Because then we could I mean, it could be tiny. It could be the safety committee section, and we could rotate topics. Like it could be, you know, for summer, it could focus on water safety, like Ted's topics, right? The little blurbs about, you know, this, the requirements by law, you know, even if you're paddleboard, I mean, whatever, it could just be a small piece of information, but I don't know if did we get permission to have some kind of information on each e-blast?
I don't know if Lori ever got a chance to talk to Joanne about that. I'm kind of thinking not, because she had to go away again and she just got back. She's been a little bit overwhelmed since the last couple of weeks. So I will talk to Lori before I talk to Joanne, just so I'm not bugging Joanne about the same thing. But I mean, I don't know that they'll promise us something on every e-blast, but as we have something new come out, like, you know, it's summertime, think about wearing life jackets, that kind of thing, like however we want to word it, or make sure you're wearing your life jacket, water safety, all of that. I think maybe they can give us maybe not every week, but occasionally. So, but
Well, I mean,
I can't.
I just want to say I checked in, and this is on the traffic safety. I don't think it's asking a lot, actually.
No, it probably isn't, but you know, neither of us can speak for Joanne.
No,
So all we can do
absolutely.
is we will discuss it, and that's, you know.
Well, I would love the board to follow up with Joanne, in particular, because I just spoke with Target Zero again
Mhm.
with the Washington State, and I began bringing that information to the board in 2022 pertaining to traffic safety. There's been multiple emails back and forth. Joanne made contact with Carl Lanham. Carl Lanham attended a board meeting. He came in here to say, I'm offering you guys whatever you want in terms of a comprehensive plan for traffic safety. Joanne had spoken to him about paint, signs, etc. But he did not. She said she was open to that, and so like there's a whole lot of gray, and I think it's a very important issue. And I know there are lots of other things happening, but I think safety in Sudden Valley is just paramount, and that's just me. And I also, the last time we talked, it sounded like Lori had said that Joanne had talked to the sheriff's department about enforcement within Sudden Valley, and that was, you know, that they're understaffed. Like that, I think that conversation maybe was like, that's not something they can do. I don't know why we would ask them to do that, but what they can do, and I left a message today for Officer Sergeant Tony Paz. He's the traffic sergeant for Whatcom County. Is to see if we could, you know, and I said, I'm a resident, I don't represent, so I gave my disclaimer, but I asked, you know, if residents, you know, do we need 1,000 signatures? Like, how can we work with them to just have a periodic, like, speed trap, maybe once a week, you know, rotate between Lake Whatcom and Lake Louise. You know, that there is some kind of presence that we used to have. As I observed this past week, somebody passed the paddle again, right at gate 9, right on through. The bus had to lay on their horn. Kids are crossing, getting off the bus. Like, it is happening over and over and over. And these are our small children. And I don't think this is something that should get brushed aside. And that's my observation.
As a matter of fact, Tony's getting a couple calls because I spoke with him too.
Yeah.
And there is an RCW that could possibly be enforced to have them do some traffic stops, but we've had to bring it to a couple other people, so that is being looked into. I have other names, so I don't want to give out more names.
I just want to say, because I'm talking to transportation for the school district, the most populated stops are not within Sudden Valley. So that, from my perspective, in terms of safety at bus stops, is kind of not where the important part is. The important part is where the large stops are with the most kids, where they're crossing. And
that's what we're trying to get, because you know, I talked to the county, and I know Joanne has talked to them a little bit too, but you know, as I was telling them, you know, when people know that there's no consequence, they're going to speed, and they realize that. So we are looking into the possibility about getting some help, but it's not going to happen overnight. But it has been escalated to people with more authority. So it is not just getting brushed aside. it's definitely being looked at.
So I'll be getting an email from the Bellingham Public Schools, and what they're researching is just to make sure that they're not misspeaking, but every year it changes, but the most populated bus stops. And so they'll give us a comprehensive, because I don't think that has been established, that communication. So we will have a piece of information of like, these are the most populated bus stops. Here's where people are crossing large, and then we can go from there, because then if we just say enforcement, that's a very large area. But if we can target certain areas, particularly where there are children in the upcoming school year, yeah. So anyway, I'm glad that there are things underway. I just want to say 2 years in that, not a whole lot is happening, and it's going to take a lot of will and a lot of on the part of the board and on a part of the general manager to actually have something happen in terms of an education campaign. And that's in addition to interfacing with the sheriff's department. But I think having a small space, and this is where Target Zero was saying, an outreach campaign which means educating, right? Exactly what Judy's doing. And Ted, like those small pieces of information, I think it is absolutely reasonable for us to ask the association to put forth small pieces of safety information on every e-blast. I really don't think that's asking a lot, and it's not a cost thing. It's not going to take away from the other content in the e-blast, but by far it is the most effective way to communicate with the community.
Yeah, and I'm not disagreeing with you, Colleen. I'm just saying I can't speak for other people. So, but it will be discussed. So, anyway, so is there anything else that we need to look at?
I have a question
Okay.
that I would like to ask, and I don't know what the suggested timing for talking about it in detail or in another forum. Part of the discussion at the safety meeting, the Firewise, was about the making sure that there are second exits from each of the gates, and the importance of that. And I was wondering whether it would be the purview of the safety committee or in conjunction with the long range planning to try to elevate the conversation so that it is being talked about in greater detail.
Yeah, and I think people do need to know what their alternative is. As an example, they've said, gates 1 and 2, there's only the one exit, but in a real emergency, I mean, we can drive across the golf course. So that would be your emergency exit if you couldn't get out of gate 1. But that's just 2 gates that I happen to be aware of, just because that's been discussed. But
Sure.
we have other gates that may not know. Like, we need to provide information. Like, what if I can't go this way? How do I get out? It's not everybody.
Certainly.
Those areas I get up in some of those upper gates, visiting people or dropping grandkids off, and I'm like, where do I go now? They get confusing. I get lost up there all the time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that is an important thing that we need to look at as
It
well.
is. I think maybe we could do a subcommittee about that one issue, because I know that's what got me into this whole thing, because I'm a mile and a quarter from the closest exit, a mile and a quarter, and there's people further away.
Yeah.
And it's scary. And
It is scary.
And you think about heavy smoke, for example, or earthquakes and trees coming down and the roads are blocked. I mean, what? So we need to be, I think, really proactive on that issue. And at the very least, people are pouring in here as residents, as tenants, as homeowners. They have no clue how to get out another way. They've
Yeah.
only known one way. It took me 2 years to figure out there was another way in to my house. And so there's just so much we can do on that issue. So it would be more efficient to have a subcommittee on just that part. I'd like to be a part of that.
Yeah, I certainly would too. And
Well, why
was
don't-
just putting it forth for your consideration.
Would you two like to form a subcommittee and look at that? And I know Debbie, I know your husband's a planner, right? So he's kind of aware of a lot of this information.
Correct.
So maybe he can help you ladies, not that ladies need help, but he just has the expertise. So that'd be a great subcommittee to form if you guys are willing to do that. That'd be wonderful.
That'd be great.
Excellent.
I'd love to do that with you, Debbie.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice.
A
Our
couple
first
of years,
subcommittee.
a couple of years ago, I served on an earlier version of this committee that we met for a few times and we're trying to put some things together. And this particular topic was one of the ones that we were spending a fair amount of discussion time with. And that committee, because there was no board support at that time at all, we finally just threw our hands in the air and said, well, if they're not going to, pay any attention, then, we all have lives to live and we'd rather be doing something else.
Sure.
But this has been a topic, from my understanding, for people that have lived in the Valley more than I have, longer than I have, that this has been something that's been simmering probably ever since the Valley was put together. And at one point, my understanding was that there were at least a few ideas that had been floated around, but I don't know where those records are. There are still some people that were active on those committees that are still around here. Norm would be one of them.
Norm, Tom Fields, Scott
Yeah,
Wall.
Tom Fields
Agree.
would be another one. If people have contacts with them, we need to get a hold of them and see if they can dredge up a lot of those types of records. And I know Tom was very active with the fire department for a while.
Yeah.
So, and I know that they had those discussions as well. So those would be some good people to, pull some data from.
My secret agenda is for you to join us on the subcommittee, but we'll go there at a later date. Yeah, those are excellent ideas. And I do happen to have the original maps.
And
I got
it's
a
going to
whole
be an
roll of all
important
the
topic.
original maps of Sudden Valley, so we can kind of look at those ideas too. There were originally other dates.
Thank you all for all your effort. Thank you, Judy and Ted. That's like, this is awesome information and articles. And I just want to ensure that, like, this is going to, I hope that this is going to be a big topic at the AGM, that the next board and everyone who's running is taking on this topic and taking it seriously. As Ted just mentioned, this has been an age-old topic and not a whole lot of action. And so all of this effort, it's going to be important that we're not just spinning our wheels, right? That we're just not another committee that's just talking about stuff and then nothing gets put into place. This is the time for action. This is the time for planning. And it's going to be really important that our leadership and the next GM, as they go through the process of hiring, is also on board with that, and that our, the president of our board is, emphasizing safety as important as anything else on the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hope all of us, and we encourage the community to show up at the candidate forums, put forth questions concerning the community will have opportunities to put forth questions at those forums in general, if they are running as I understand them to run. And so I am excited by all of this effort, but I think Ted points out, like, past committees, we have these amazing people. Norm Smith is one that I'm pretty new here, but I see him, always trying to get word out about things and sharing things, and I think it fizzled out because it didn't get action, right? And so That's the thing here. We have all these ideas, we have concepts, we can talk, but until it is taken on by the people who can implement and take this and put it forth to the community and make things happen, I just don't want to see us spinning our wheels. So pay attention at the AGM, everybody.
Yeah, I think we all agree. I think, do we need anything?
There is one more issue.
There is always one more issue. We're never
July,
gonna run out of them.
4th of July is 2 weeks away.
And I believe that now we did talk about that at the last board meeting and let people know, and I'm gonna make that, I know that's gonna be on e-blasts about the fireworks, and that I know there's been times in the past where security didn't know that they could go and tell people to stop setting off fireworks. They have been informed that they need to go and be on top of that. It should be in the e-blasts, no fireworks in Sudden Valley.
Do
So
we have citations?
Not yet. Well, there's, I don't know.
Can they write a ticket?
Yeah, you know
Like,
what? I think that there should be fines for that. I don't know. I'd have to look at fees and fines and fees, schedule fees and fines.
looks like Morgan says we do have citations, and I think it's important. She's telling us in the chat. I think that's important information. She's saying it's going to go out in the e-blast, but people need to know, like, there are citations for this. There is a consequence. And I think that, like you were saying, Taimi, we cannot have a system where there are rules without some kind of consequence, because it just doesn't function.
It's exactly, we're talking about that, and, we're trying to get some of that in place better, because Sudden Valley has not been good at compliance and making sure that people get fines for things like that. Now, I know it's not always easy to catch people doing fireworks, but at least we need to be on top of it as best we can.
Yeah, because the word out there is that it's okay, nothing will happen. Nothing ever happens.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. It's all just, talk and whine. But when it comes right down to it, security won't show up. They're always somewhere else, right? And when they do show up, they don't do anything. That whole thing is that's the myth. We have to change that.
Absolutely.
And maybe it's been true. And so it's time that we change that. And security needs to know that we not only allow them, we expect them to take charge of whatever they can.
Yep. Absolutely.
And another important aspect of safety. I think the idea of the every views has a emphasis on safety because it's so multifaceted. Doesn't have to be huge, but even just the repetition that is really how people learn. And
that's how we change community consciousness, right? It's this ongoing discussion.
Yes.
I've got a question, maybe this is for Tammy or for staff. Is something going on in the e-blast or through some other thing about the fire situation, where I think we just got bumped to a level 2. And for those of you who are new here, we dodged a real bullet just a couple of years ago with a fire down by AM Beach. So the word needs to get out, because we're heading into, we've been really fortunate. We've had some nice cool and wet weather, but it ain't going to last. And they're putting the word out. There's I don't know how many of you follow it, but there's pretty good sized fire over by Lake Chelan right now. And they're saying that they're just not going to do anything with that one. They can't get in. It's right by the lake, but there's no real access. It's in highly combustible material, and it's very steep terrain, and they figure it's going to burn until November.
Wow.
So the word, okay, there's the answer on burn bans, but that needs to go up in the announcements and the views and everything else too.
Yeah, definitely we need to let people know. And look at how close we came last year. Really, it was a lightning strike. And, it's not very far from here. It could have gone a different direction, and it could have hit Sudden Valley just as easily. Well,
Okay, this is this comment, I think, from Morgan. The views will get an article on the burn ban, but not on fireworks. I'm not sure what that means.
I didn't see it. I keep looking at faces and I keep forgetting to look down there for, I'm gonna have to go like this to read it. But I'm sure that e-blasts will remind people about fireworks. Morgan, I don't know. I know you can't speak for Joanne, but we did talk about it at the board meeting.
I see.
So I'm sure that e-blasts will talk about fireworks.
Okay, sweet.
And we did make sure that people know that there is a burn ban in effect.
One of the things that I like to say in like social media is you can't buy fireworks here. At least not legally. You can't buy them. You can buy them legally other places. So go there to set them off, because obviously they're welcoming for that behavior and are happy to have you. This is not true here in Sudden Valley. So set them off, but not here.
Yeah, using an illegal thing,
Yeah.
you know.
All right. Well, we covered some really great topics today. Unless anybody has anything else they wanted to bring up, I will speak with Joanne about those few issues. I will check with Lori first just to make sure that she's not already discussing them with Joanne, so that we're not kind of piling in on Joanne with the same questions over and over again, because you know how annoying that can get. But we are trying to look at some of these things, and I know she did talk to Target Zero, but I don't know where she got with that. Joanne, that is not Lori. So, and hopefully next meeting I can come back with some better answers. Lori and I are co-chairs, and somehow we both kind of, I thought she was going to be handling everything on this meeting, and I guess she thought I was. So we're not as organized as we could have been, but I think we have some great ideas, and I will talk about to Joanne about the possibility of the life jacket sharing. I'll follow up on Target Zero. I have to wait for Whatcom County to get back to me and see if we can do anything with the sheriff. Colleen, you were gonna look a little bit more about how we would deal when school starts again, about organizing parents for bus stop duty. And then Judy, you were gonna talk to Mitch Knowles, and then you said Robert's gonna provide you with some information.
Yep.
So that's great. And our first subcommittee. So
Right.
that's great. Thank you, Debbie and Judy. Appreciate that. And thank you all of you for your ideas and for all that you're doing.
Thank you.
Yes. And we need
for
set the next
clarification,
date, don't we?
when is the next meeting? Would it be July 20th?
Oh. Well, I have to, again, I gotta probably check with Lori as well, but we've been doing them, did we do it 2 weeks apart last time? Let me look at my
Yes.
calendar.
So every
So
2 weeks.
it would be, let me go back to June.
Well, that would be the
We're not gonna
4th.
do
I
it
just
July
looked it up.
4th. I'm not gonna be here for July 4th. You wanna have a meeting here on your own. So why don't we, go ahead.
Why don't we do the 11th?
Yep, that works for me. Does that work for?
July 11, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
won't be back by then. If I can, I will do my best to respond to find the link and join in.
Okay.
But if there's a second meeting in July, I'll be back after the 15th and available for the rest of the summer.
Okay, I'm gonna be gone around, well, I can do Zoom from the 15th on for about a week or so. I'll be not around here, but we're doing Zoom anyway, so that's okay. All right, so July 11th.
Sweet.
Okay, thanks again, everybody.
One last question, and this is
sorry,
more for staff than anything
Mhm.
else. Can we make sure that all of our new members and everybody's email addresses are linked into the sort of bulk address for sending information in? Because I'm probably going to have some stuff on the life jacket program. I'm going to hope maybe by early next week.
That'd be great.
Can be good.
So I just want to make sure if I send stuff for you all to take a look at, that everybody will get it.
Yeah, I'll double check that because I know there was some issues with board email a week or two ago. So I don't know if that's why I missed some of the things that you both sent. But I'll make sure, Morgan's been pretty good about getting some of that stuff updated. So, but we'll double check to make sure everybody's on there.
Yeah,
Great.
and I just joined all of that today, I think. So
Well, thank you for joining us on this committee, Debbie.
you're very welcome. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right, well, take care, and I guess the meeting of the safety committee will be adjourned at 4:10 p.m. We'll see you all
Thank
next
you.
time. Take
See you
care.
next.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.
You too.